The Holocaust stands as one of the darkest chapters in human history. It was not an accident. It was not chaos. It was a deliberate, systematic attempt to erase an entire people from existence. Between 1933 and 1945, under the leadership of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, 6 million Jewish men, women, and children were murdered. This was not just mass violence, it was genocide. This is the story of how hatred became policy, how propaganda became law, and how ordinary people were caught in an extraordinary nightmare. Ash, the rise of Hitler and Nazi ideology. After Germany's defeat in World War I, the nation was broken, economically devastated, politically unstable, and humiliated by the Treaty of Versailles. In this environment of fear and desperation, Adolf Hitler rose to power. Hitler blamed Germany's problems on the Jewish people. He portrayed Jews as enemies of the state, dangerous, corrupt, and responsible for Germany's suffering. These lies were repeated endlessly through speeches, newspapers, posters, and schools. The Nazi ideology claimed that Germans were part of a so-called master race, while Jews were labeled as inferior and subhuman. This dehumanization laid the groundwork for unimaginable cruelty. From discrimination to persecution. When Hitler became chancellor in 1933, discrimination against Jews quickly became law. Jewish doctors were banned from treating non-Jews. Jewish businesses were boycotted and destroyed. Jewish children were expelled from schools. In 1935, the Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of German citizenship and basic rights. They were no longer seen as human equals, but as outsiders in their own country. Then came Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, in November 1938. Synagogues were burned, Jewish homes were destroyed, thousands were arrested. It was a clear message. Violence against Jews was now encouraged. Ghettos, life behind walls. As Nazi Germany expanded across Europe, millions of Jews were forced into crowded ghettos, sealed neighborhoods surrounded by walls and barbed wire. Food was scarce. Disease spread quickly. Families lived in constant fear. In places like the Warsaw Ghetto, starvation became a weapon. Children smuggled food through cracks in walls, risking their lives just to survive another day. The ghettos were not permanent homes. They were holding areas, steps on the path to death. The final solution. In 1942, Nazi leaders met at the Wannsee Conference. There, they planned what they called the final solution to the Jewish question. This was the official decision to murder every Jewish person in Europe. Extermination camps were built with one purpose: killing. Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec, and others became factories of death. Trains arrived daily, packed with families who had been told they were being relocated. Most were murdered within hours. Gas chambers used poison gas to kill thousands at a time. Bodies were burned in crematoria. Names were replaced with numbers. Humanity was erased. Life and death in the camps. Those not killed immediately were forced into slave labor. Prisoners were starved, beaten, and worked until they collapsed. Medical experiments were performed without consent. Children were separated from parents. Hope was crushed daily. Yet, even in these conditions, people resisted. By sharing food, by comforting one another, by remembering who they were. Survival itself became an act of defiance of Nazi terror. While Jews were the primary target, the Nazis also murdered millions of others. Roma people, disabled individuals, Polish civilians, Soviet prisoners of war, political dissidents, and LGBTQ individuals were also persecuted and killed. The Holocaust was part of a broader campaign of terror driven by hatred and absolute power. Liberation and the aftermath. As Allied forces advanced in 1944 and 1945, they liberated the camps. What they found shocked the world: emaciated survivors, mass graves, evidence of crimes beyond comprehension. Many survivors had lost entire families. Homes were gone, communities destroyed. The trauma did not end with liberation. It lasted a lifetime. After the war, Nazi leaders were put on trial at Nuremberg. Some were held accountable. Many escaped justice. Why the Holocaust still matters. The Holocaust did not begin with gas chambers. It began with words, with lies, with hatred normalized and ignored. It shows how quickly human rights can disappear when fear and propaganda go unchallenged. Remembering the Holocaust is not just about the past, it is about the future. It is a warning. Closing. 6 million Jewish lives were taken. Each one mattered. Each one had a name, a family, and a story. To remember them is to honor them. To learn this history is to resist its repetition.